Hey everybody, this is Alex Merced from alexmercedcoder.com with another front-end build. This one will be in the framework of RiotJS, simple and elegant component-based UI library. And this is kind of meant to be sort of like, the way I would describe it is like if you took Vue but tried to make it more closer to just bare bones browser API. So, um, yeah, so making it a very small library, just like I think like right at the very bottom of this, they have a good set of the numbers. So right here you can see like how big it is compared to other things. So like Angular, the size of the library is 89 kilobytes, React 42, Vue 29, and the thing, and then while Riot and Preact are like 6 and 4. I still haven't tried Preact. I always just assume it's pretty much the same thing as React, but this makes me wonder how different it can be. So one of these days we'll try out Preact as well. But if you look at a RiotJS component, it looks a lot like a Vue component. Essentially what happens is you create one tag that describes the actual tag. So you're writing a tag called body. And then in there you have the template, which in this case the template is essentially all this. And then you can have a script tag and then a style tag for styling. Just, single file components, similar to like Svelte Vue. So let's get started. Now, for those who haven't watched one of these builds before, again, I'm building off the same API built a while back with Express Mongo, a Todos API, where the to-dos have two properties, reminder and completed, and the goal is to build like full CRUD functionality, so the ability to see the to-dos, add a to-do, update a to-do, and delete a to-do. So I'm going to use this command here to get started. Now first I'm going to turn on my server for the API, npm run dev, and then I'm going to close all these other terminals. Okay. Looks like I may have had it already running. Luckily I have boost note here. Maybe some commands to help me deal with that. Okay, let's see here. Open up a new terminal. Okay, let's change that to port 10,000. There we go. So that's cleaned out. Let's open up another terminal with Express open there. Open in integrated terminal. npm run dev. That's good. Okay, and then let's see here. Let's go back to this terminal and do, what is it? npm init riot. Okay. So npm init. Oh, now that I remember about this, I think I have to make a folder first for this one, because this one doesn't create a new folder, it creates everything in the folder. So we'll say riot to-dos, cd riot to-dos, and then do npm init riot. And let that do its thing. Riot to-dos is fine. Fine. Yep. Parcel, roll up, simple component. Let's see here. What do I want to use? I guess I'll stick with the Webpack template. Let's just do that. Okay, and let's take a look at the files we have here. Again, nothing you wouldn't expect. Let's just make sure that I do an npm install in case there's any libraries I need to install. Okay, and then again, usually it would work in the source file. And again, there's this thing here where you register the global components. I don't think you have to touch this, because if I remember correctly, what this does is that it automatically registers any component created in this global folder. Yeah, so we'll keep to that. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use, let me see how this is all set up, index.js, data riot component, index. So when we say data riot component, what is that referring to? My component there. Well, let's see here. Let's do the following. Let's start the project. So let's go to package.json, see what the default looks like, which is done with development. Looks like it's npm start. Go into development mode. Okay. Oops. There we go. Try to get these windows to cooperate. There we go. Okay, so this is like the sidebar. This is like the my component app. So the question is, what is this being injected on? So let's see here. Index.html. Ah, that's right. Okay, so the way this works is you inject an element there, and that says is my component, and that makes it that component. Okay, got it. So I'll come back to me now. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to make a couple new components. We're going to make a new app component. Folders. Okay, so just build out what we usually use, which is going to be an app component. And then what's the files I need in there? Wait, see here we have. Okay, so just we need a write file. So my new file, app component .riot. Let me just see, do I have extensions for this? That would make life easier. RiotJS. Okay. Let's do that. Good. App component, and then I'm also going to want a display component. And a form component. Okay, so let's first start off with the app component. So it should be like just one like sort of like overarching tag with the component name, app component. / app component. Okay. And then right now we're just going to inject h1 hello world, because first thing I want to do is just make sure that we got this injected. So I don't need this aside. Really all I want in the body is going to be an h1. This is Alex's to-do list. Okay, and then I should have just kept some of that stuff. Okay, I'm going to copy this. h1 Alex's to-do list, and then I'm going to paste this, which is going to be is the app component, okay, and which doesn't take any props. Why does it not want to root tag not found? Let's see here. Control Z, undo. Oops. What am I missing? Root tag. Where is the root tag? Body div column h1 div. So see right now it builds component module. Okay, it's complaining about these 4 other components. So that's why, it's because I gotta put stuff in them. So let's do that. My component, no, I don't care about that one. Display. Display and inform. Okay, so now it's happy. Okay, so now we copy this again. Let's try this again. H1 Alex's to-do list. And then this is going to be the app component. Okay, let's see that ticks. Okay, good. Okay, so we got that going. Oh, this has the milligram styling. And yeah, there it is, milligram. Nice. Good choice. Okay, so let's see here. The app component, what I need to do is I want to render the app display. Okay, let's see here. Does that make the hello world show up twice now? No. Okay, so let's go to the documentation. Okay, so how do we need to import other ones? So let's see here. Input. That all looks pretty straightforward. I get all that. Some pages files, I get that. Some EC using mount method, accessing DOM elements. Get all that, get all that. Here we go, nested components. Let's define a tag account. So let's see here. Subscription, export default, unmounted props, const. Get.js handle 2 props. It is written in dash case, but it will be converted to camel case inside this projects app. Let's see here. Expressions, query, component start. Do example. let's see here. App display. Oh, let's see here. Display component. What did I write? Oh, because it's display component. That's why. Oh God. Display component. I literally just woke up. Okay. So let's see here. Let's go. Yep, there. Okay, it is working. Okay, so it's working the way I would expect. Okay. And then we want the form component. Cool. Now I want some JavaScript in here. So script / script. And the idea here is you want to export default an object. Kind of like in view. Okay, and that's where we're going to be doing like our fun logical stuff. Okay, now there's only 3 directives. So we saw one directive. Again, that was is. You saw that in index.html. That's how we mount a component to the HTML side of things. So in the HTML file, if you want a component to show up somewhere, you take some existing element and you put this is directive on it. There's 2 more for looping and 1 for conditional elements. Here we go. If it's premium, and then the loops are for each item in items. Okay. So that's how that works. So what I would want to do, actually, that's how do I define state again? Oh, here we go. Export default value. You have your state object. Okay, and syntax. Export default on before mount. So like a list of all the API. Here we go. Lifecycle. Unmounted. Okay, that works for me. So here's all the stuff that I'd want as far as their component object, so I can refer to that. Okay. Should update state components. Mount. Selector string should update yada yada yada. Okay, so pretty straightforward. Okay, because really it's just state and lifecycle methods. So we have our state object, and then we're gonna have our lifecycle methods. I guess there's just a methods object too. Methods, unmount, parent scope, initial state. Okay. See some sort of example of a method. State property should run away the strongly nested JavaScript objects in the state property because the reference will be shared to avoid uninspired. You can also create your own components using a factory function. Okay. How about methods? Higher order components, lifecycle, helpers. Okay, well, I think we'll be fine. So let's just start off with this. Let's add a button. Let's just try to do a event / button. Let's add an event called cheese, or I mean a function called cheese. And I'll just do function console.log hello world. And we'll say on click equals cheese. Okay, and let's just see if that works. Okay. Good. Okay. Well, this is hello world. Is that what I wrote in the thing? Yes, that's what I did. Okay, so that's how methods work. Okay. And let's write, do this. Cheese equals Gouda. I just want to make sure I understand how the state works. So if I do, if it's like view, I'm imagining it's going to be like this dot cheese. So now if I do that, let's see if that works. Oh, because they can't be the same name. So it's cheese one, cheese one. What if I do this dot cheese one? There we go. Okay, cool. That's good there. And then what happens if I interpolate cheese one here? Nothing. But if I do state dot cheese one, Gouda. Okay, cool. Just want to make sure I understand exactly how I'm referencing things. Okay, relatively. So good. Okay, so I can delete this. I can delete this button. As you can see, I think I've only touched RiotJS once for one video before this, so I am discovering along, and it's going to be even greater when I do lit HTML because I have never used lit HTML, so that'll be a fun one. Okay, so let's see here. I do want to keep that state object there because we do want our state. So let's see here. This just goes to show you, like, once you've used a few frameworks and you've kind of learned what the patterns are, even if you're using something you've never used before, you can kind of like have an idea what you're looking for and how things might work, even if the documentation doesn't make certain things clear, although this is concerning. That's just running forever. So here's what I'm going to do. Open up a new tab. Okay. So mainly what I want to do is go get my to-dos. That's what I want to do. So go back to those lifecycle methods, and I want to use onMounted. So, or actually we can do on before mount, doesn't on before mount. On before mount. Is that the word? On before mount. Okay, on before mount. And then we're just going to do the normal stuff. And then I'm going to want to have a piece of my state that's called URL. http://localhost 10,000. Okay. And what I want is on before mount is const response. Oh, and I'm also going to want a part of my state that's going to be like to-dos, which will be an empty array for now. Equals await fetch this.url or this.state.url, and then const data equals await response.json, and then to-dos this.state.todos equals data. Okay, and then I want to pass in data. So let's see here. The to-dos equals, or let's do this way. To-dos equals to-dos. Okay, and it's actually this dot state dot to-dos. Cool. So that should be receiving props. And just see an example of using props. On before mount. So all the lifecycle functions receive props, then state. Okay. Let me go back to the main guide. in a separate tab. Okay, and then what I'm looking for is Control F, props. Okay, let's see here, quick start. Props.message. Got it. Okay, so this is just a props object that is available to me. Okay, cool. So that means in the display component, I should be able to just do, let's say here, a div. Actually, let's just do a UL. And then in there, have an LI, which for each equals for to do of props dot to dos. I want an H3 that has to do dot reminder. Let's start with that. Okay, so let's see here. Module build failed. Let's see why. Unexpected token, comma, where? Line 1, display component, UL, LI, node, webpack loader. Let's just make sure I'm using each right. There's an in, not of. So each item in state that items. And otherwise that looks kind of the way I expected it. So let's just fix that. Item in. Okay, so now it compiled successfully. So let's go take a look. Hello world. Let's just take a look. Did the API call ever happen? Do I see? Oh well, I know why. I'm making an API call to the wrong URL. So let's go back to app component because it's supposed to be /todos. Okay, so let's do that. Do I see to-dos in here? And I did. Okay. And I still see hello world, which I shouldn't be seeing. Well, let's get rid of this hello world. Oh, and I saw it for a second. So it is receiving it, just disappears for a second for some reason. Let's see here, display component. Let's set up our script tag here. Script /script export default an object. Again, kind of like in view, but we're gonna have some. We'll just say on before mount props states, and I just want to see here console.log props dot to do. Okay, so there's that. I get undefined. Okay. It's console.log data. Just want to see when does it happen. Okay, so if I refresh, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Because you saw it just display a second there. Okay, so let me just do a hard refresh. Okay, so it looks like that's happening, but then I am getting the data, but it's not necessarily re-rendering. I'm not seeing any of that happen again. So let's see here. What do we see about reactivity? State. Nested event handlers, conditionals, loops, animation usage. This dot state. Oh, there's like an update method. Now, where's the update method defined? So wait, do I manually call it to update? This dot update state handling. And you write it has a state object property. The state object means to store all mutable components for a library. In this case, the component is created in the initial state that can be modified internally via component.update. Okay, you should avoid storing this. Call a function anytime, right? Anytime a new component will be mounted. If you avoid registering global RiotJS components, you can map your children components directly on the component object. So, does that mean that I need to call this.update after this? Let's try it out. This.update. Is that what I need to do? Yes. Okay. So state doesn't automatically trigger an update. I can alter the state, but I need to run this.update anytime I want everything to re-render. So this doesn't render on command, which I can see pros and cons of that. Like in that case, like it doesn't necessarily re-render, but then I still have to like remember to run that. But that's not the end of the world. Okay, that's not bad. Okay, so we figured that out. Okay. So I can get rid of this console log. And then go back to the display. Get rid of this on before mount for now. I'll just get rid of the console log in it. And the displays are showing, and then again I want to make sure I show completed. So let's do this, completed. Which would be again to-do dot completed. Let's see if it actually shows it. I don't think so, yeah. So that means I need to do this again, where if it's true, show me an O, and if it's false, show me an X. To do that completed. Oh, there we go. This update's kind of weird, oddly, but we'll go with it. Okay, so that receives, and why is it rebuilding so much? You see here, so it's just generating all these messages without end. So I'm not sure what quite is causing that. Okay, so there we go. Okay, and that looks all fine and good. Okay, so we got that. Now the next step is to create the create form, or the form of sorts. So let's go back to the app component. We're going to want some state to track what's going on with the form. So we're going to say like there's an individual to do is going to equal a to do a property called reminder, which is going to be an empty string, and a property called completed, which will be false. We're going to have an action, so we know how we're going to use the form, and which will be defaulting to create. And we're going to have anything else that I need here. Oh, and an ID property. That'll just be an empty string for now. Okay. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to create all the methods that I need right now, just to get this out of the way before this gets too complicated. So we're going to need an async. We already got that in before mount. What I'm going to want to do is actually define get to dos, because I'm going to need that. Get to dos. Okay, and I essentially want this in there. Control X, Control X. Okay, and you see like it already triggered this whole infinite loop, whatever is causing it. Yeah, it's just something about the hot update that's just freaking it out. So I'm gonna just turn off Webpack for a second. Okay, this.update, and that's going to get the to-dos. Is there anything else I want to do while I do that? Yeah, I might as well also reset state there. So this dot to-dos, no, this dot to-do will equal this again. This dot, again, that's this dot state dot to do. This dot state dot action will be create again, and this dot state dot ID will be blank again, and then I also need to add show form on there. Which will be true, and then this will be this dot state dot show form will equal false again. So that way, anytime we get the to-dos, we're just resetting everything up, so that way the form doesn't show up all the time. So let's actually go over here and make that form conditional. Oh, I already forgot what that was for that. Conditionals, if, of course. Okay, so we use the if directive, and it'll be like state dot show form if that is true. And let's add a button. And that's going to say create. And we're going to say if on the button, what we're going to do is we're going to say if we want to trigger an function, toggle okay, so toggle form, and this one's going to be pretty straightforward. All this is going to do is just say this dot state dot show form equals not this dot state dot show form, and then update. And I actually don't mind this whole update thing, because the nice thing about this is I can do several changes to state without triggering several renders. Okay, just basically I say make these changes. It's kind of like a batch in solid.js. They have a feature called a batch where you can actually specify saying, hey, in this function, don't re-render until the function's done, or till this block of code is done, so that way you don't trigger too many renders. It's just, that does kind of optimize certain things for speed purposes. Okay, not a fan of the way the Webpack is working with the hot reloading, but that is something that can be improved upon. Not necessarily, you know, people can create their own Webpack builds and make it smoother. And who knows, maybe the roll-up parcel templates are smoother. Okay, so toggle form. So let's put that on the button. Okay, so on click equals toggle, toggle form. Okay, now let's go try that out. Just run the server again. Okay. Button on click form component. Why is it still saying hello, showing hello world? Okay, so it's making that, it is toggling that. Did I put state.showForm true? Oh, I did start it as true. Okay. Okay, my question is, why aren't we seeing the API call happen? Is the API call happening? don't see the call the to-dos anymore. Interesting. Oh, because I changed it before mount, so this is supposed to get to-dos. There we go. Okay, so let's hit shift. Okay. I see the to-do call the to-dos. No, still not. Oh, because I put this is supposed to be this dot get to-dos. There we go. And then I can toggle the form on and off. Okay, good. That's working well for me. Okay, so now let's go to the form. Okay, so far I don't hate the way that state was managed. That setting up of state was actually fairly straightforward. Now to the form component. So the form should just be the form tag, and you can see there it goes nuts the minute I in the middle of trying to update something. So I'm gonna stop that, kill this window. Okay. So we do an input. Will it let me use Emmet? No, it won't let me use Emmet. Input type equals text. Okay, and yeah, let's see here. Let me think here. Does it have a way of referring to or binding to documentation? How about for form binding? How am I going to do that? HTML, accessing DOM elements. Okay, let's see here. Riot gives you access to DOM elements via this helper methods. Okay. Oh, I see what it's doing. Okay, because these are basically, I'm assuming that this is like, these are components within a shadow DOM, and then this is giving you access to like this dot shadow root dot query selector. Okay, because I kind of did something like that before in one of my libraries, so I get that. I get that. Cool. Okay, so it's just basically like having query selector in there. So this is query selector. This is query selector all, but just for components within that element. That works for me. That's all I need. Okay, input type text. And so we'll just leave it at that. And value equals, right now we'll just put, because I am going to bind that to something. Input type equals checkbox. Checked will equal something. And then we're going to have the submit. Input type equals submit. And the value will equal submit. Okay. So it's just, and then I'm going to want the script tag. Script /script. I don't think I really need state here. I am going to need a function for when the form submits. Okay. Cool. So export default. And what I'm going to want is we're going to say handle submit equals, or handle submit. And in this handle submit method, what we're going to do is say that const, okay, what was it going to be? Const reminder equals this dot $. Again, it's going to be the input with of type equals text, and it's going to be the value of it. Okay. And then this is going to be one for checkbox. And that's going to be giving me the checked property. And that's going to be called completed. And then we're going to have we'll say const form result equals an object with reminder and completed. And then right now I just want to console.log form result just to see if this is working. Okay. So there's the form. Let me open up the dev tools because I want to see the console log. Now what I want to do is I want to just type some stuff in here. There's the checkbox. Okay, now if I hit submit. Oh, I forgot to do event.prevent default. So event.prevent default. Okay, see the form, type some stuff. That's not good. Oh, I never actually attached the event to the form anyways. On submit equals handle submit. There we go. So we can see the form. I type some stuff. Oh, still. Wait, let's do a hard refresh. Okay, so create, type in the box. Okay, no more event.prevent default, but it's not seeming to be doing anything else. Okay, so handle submit. Let's put a console log here just to see if the function's running. Console log cheese shift. Okay, create, type some stuff here. Okay, yeah, so that function isn't running. Handle submit on submit. That should work. On submit equals handle submit. I mean, that's pretty much how I do it here. Okay, we defined toggle form. And then I just said toggle form. So there's nothing funny about the way I just defined anything. Handle submit. Why doesn't it like the way my submit button works? Oh, okay. I just had the wrong thing highlighted. It is working. See, there it is. Okay. And then if I check this off, false. Okay. Cool, 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 cool. Okay. And actually, technically, I don't need to... Well, we'll come back to that. Okay, so that's the form is all set. I'm going to kill the server. Okay, what I need to now do is pass it a bunch of props. Okay. So the form component will receive a bunch of props. So what I'm going to do is to start doing this. Form component needs to receive this dot to do. So to do is going to equal this dot state dot to do. Action will equal this dot state dot action. Underscore ID equals this dot state dot ID underscore ID. And then that should be what I need to send it for now. I'll have to send it down some functions in a moment. Okay, but then I can do this. This dot values will be bound to props dot to do dot reminder. And then this will be bound to this dot to do dot completed. Okay, this dot to do dot completed, and actually no, it's gonna be props dot to do dot completed. Okay, and okay, that's fine. And then we don't really need these console logs anymore. We kind of realize that that's working the way I want it to work. But then what I want is, say, an if action this dot props dot action equals, okay, if this dot props dot action equals created, or create console.log create, just see if these are working, and then again it'll be the same thing but for update, but I won't test that one. If the first one works, and the second one's going to work. Update. Okay, and then we'll just pass it down the functions that it'll eventually need, but first let's just test it out as is. Okay, and create. I type in here, I hit submit, it says create, good, okay. That is good. So that all works as intended. So all I need to do is now make the functions here. Okay, so handle create. Handle create will take in a to do. Okay, and what it's going to do, and this should be an async function. And what it's going to do is say do const response equals fetch this dot state dot URL. Okay, but again we gotta do the whole secondary object thing with the method of post and the headers content type equals application JSON. Okay, and that's fine and good. And then body JSON dot stringify to do. Okay. Oh, why did it take me back there? Oh, the server's still running. That's not edit stuff while the server's running. Cool, and then this should be await here. Okay, so it waits for that to be done. Once that is done, what I want to do is get to-dos, or this dot get to-dos, and then that's handle create. Okay, and that kind of just resets everything. Once the new data is created, then I'm going to want a version of this called handle update. The only difference is that this is going to get the plus, the slash, and the to-do's ID, to-do dot underscore ID. Otherwise, this becomes a put, and that's going to be all the same. Then I will copy that one and have a handle delete. And this one will be a delete request. And I don't need the headers and the body. Okay, so there's all my methods. All nice and set up. For now, we'll come back to the whole selecting thing. So now what I want to do is pass down handle create equals handle create. And actually I don't really need all these thises. Let's clean up these thises. Technically state dot action will work fine there. Okay. And then handle update equals handle update, and then handle delete though, that's going to go to display. So let's start tightening up display. Okay, and display is going to receive handle delete, which is going to equal handle delete. And so far, I think everything is looking good. So now that should be able to go down here. Form component, so this should be able to be like this dot props dot handle create, passing in the form result. Okay. Then when it comes to update, we're going to do is form result dot underscore ID is going to equal this dot props dot underscore ID. Okay, because that prop will be available in that situation. And then we would do this dot props dot handle update and pass in form results. And then that should all handle that. Okay, so that the form is essentially complete. Okay, so now I should at least be able to create. So let's start up the server, test that out, and then move on to update. Okay, and just close all these other windows. Okay, so I'm going to hit create, and let's just say eat brunch. And when I eat brunch, I'm going to hit submit, and it works. Yes, yes. Okay, so now let's do a select, so we can select which one we want to update. So I do need one more method, one more. And if you've seen my other videos, you know the pattern. I've done this a few times now. So this one's just going to be select to do. Okay, to update. Okay, and what this is going to do is say it takes in a to-do. It takes in a to-do, and basically what it's going to do is going to say this dot state dot to-do equals to-do, and then it might as well do this dot update. Okay. Cool. Now that gets passed down to here. Equals, well, let's just call the prop select. Make our life easier. Select to do to update. Okay, well, we'll just try it out and see if all works as expected. I think we'll run into some this issues like we did with stencil. So let's see here. But I know the fix that if we get there. Okay. So back to the display component. So now from here, what I'm going to want to do, might as well add the delete button while I'm at it too. So button that says delete. Button / delete. And then what we're going to do is that on here, we're going to have an on click that equals an arrow function that is going to call props dot handle or select and pass in the to do in question. And then here we'll have a on click which equals the call to props dot handle delete, passing in the to do in question. Okie dokie. Yeah, theoretically that should all be working now. So I think we are Yes, let's just restart the server first. Okay, so first let's try to update Eat Brunch. So if I click on Eat Brunch, that doesn't, because I didn't forget to turn on show form. So let's go back and edit that. So essentially when we do this, we also want to do this.state.showForm equals true. Okay, save. Now let's see here. If I want to say Eat Brunch, oh, that works good. So then if I click this, can I update it to done? Oh, it created it. That's not what I wanted to do. So that tells me. Oh wait, let me just go back to our form component. Handle update, handle to create. Let me go back to my. Oh, I didn't change the action. This.state.action equals update. Okay, so let's refresh. Let's try this again. If I click on this brunch, so there it is. And if I hit submit, oh, it created another brunch again. Okay. This.state.action. Interesting. That did not change this.state.action. So let me see here. That's console.log. Props this.props.action. See how that changes. Okay, let's do this. Okay, so I want to change this. Oops, I deleted it. Oh, but delete works. So let's delete the. So let's see here. If I hit brunch, I click this and I hit submit. It is update, but the put to 404 localhost 10,000/todos, which tells me, hey, did the server turn off? No, it's there. Oh, but it went to /todos. Didn't get the ID. Okay, and which then tells me, oh, I forgot to do this. This.state._ID equals todo._ID. There we go. Slipping. Okay, so let's see here. I want to take brunch. I want to update it, make it true. Okay, good. That worked. Okay, good. So we can delete, we can update, we can see, we can do the whole thing. Okay, we did it all with RiotJS. Okay, I can definitely see myself getting smoother with this. I remember the first time I saw this, it seemed a little wacky, but now that I've done it, I still kind of like, for this particular style, I still kind of like Vue better. But of course, like the benefit here is that the Vue runtime is a lot smaller than Vue, so it's gonna be a lot faster. I do like that you have to manually call the updates, so you don't have to come up with all the UI updating logic manually, but you do trigger the updates. That I do kind of like that granular control, so I can say, hey, make all these state updates and then update the UI. That I kind of like. It took me a second to kind of realize that was the case, but now that I do, I kind of like how that worked. I'm not a big fan of how like the Webpack setup template they have set up works, but that's not like necessarily a deal breaker for me, because I mean, you know, at the end of the day, like restarting Webpack isn't like a tragedy. But yeah, so that was us doing the build in RiotJS. Next will be lit HTML, which I'll probably film tomorrow, but for you it'll feel like, hey, it airs tomorrow, because I'm filming these weeks ahead of time. But again, make sure to go to devnursery.com and join the Slack community, join the Discord community. I'll see you all on the next episode, and yeah, subscribe to the YouTube channel and leave your comments. Okay, what did you think about Riot.js? And again, all the links to all the code and all the different videos are going to be in the video description. Have a great day and enjoy.